I sat in my study, staring blankly at my computer screen. On the screen was my wife Tracy's email account, the heartbreaking words laid bare before me. Dear Jack, I can't stop my heart from yearning for you. Ever since the last time we met secretly in the office, I have been missing your embrace all the time. I know it's wrong, but I can't control my feelings. When will we meet again? I can't wait to feel your body heat and spend quality time with you. I felt a wave of dizziness, my throat tightened, and I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. It couldn't be. It had to be some kind of horrible joke or a nightmare. How could Tracy do such a thing? We've been married for 15 years, have a wonderful family, and a lovely daughter. We've always had a good relationship, at least in my opinion. But the explicit text and ambiguous photos cruelly shattered my fantasies. That Jack, that damn white boy, was a student of Tracy's. I felt sick looking at their intimate photos. I felt sick to my stomach looking at the pictures of them together. Tracy, how could you do this to me? How could you do this to me? How could our marriage, our family, mean so little to you? I closed the computer with a shudder and sat down in my chair. I felt an unprecedented sense of despair and anger, and at the same time a deep sense of powerlessness. What should I do? How am I going to deal with all this? I couldn't believe that just a few hours ago, I thought our life was so beautiful. I stared blankly out the window as the night wore on and the street outside was silent. I knew I had to do something. I had to confront Tracy. But how was I going to do it? How do I face the pain of our broken marriage and betrayal? I had a sleepless night, tossing and turning in bed, replaying the horrible images in my mind. The once sweet memories now seemed like a big lie. I began to doubt our relationship over the years and Tracy's love for me. When did her heart start to drift away from me? But I didn't know anything about it, and I was still immersed in the false happiness. The day finally dawned, and the sun shone through the cracks in the curtains. I rose wearily, knowing that I had to face the day, the reality of the collapse. But how do I face it? How do I regain my faith and hope in life? I stood blankly in front of the mirror, which showed me so strange and helpless. I took a deep breath and forced myself to pull myself together. No matter what, I had to be brave, and I had to ask Tracy for clarification. I couldn't just give up on our marriage and our vows. Even if the outcome might be too much for me to bear, I had to know the truth. So I made up my mind and sent Tracy a message asking her to come home tonight to talk. I knew it was going to be a tough night, a night that could change my life. But no matter how it turned out, I had to be brave because it was the only thing I could do. I'm Rivers, a husband betrayed by his wife, a man in despair and confusion. But I'm not going to give up. I'm going to fight for my marriage, for my family. Even if the road ahead is long, even if there are countless setbacks, I'm going to keep going until I find the truth, until I find the meaning of a new life. This is my story, a tale of betrayal, despair, struggle, and rebirth. It all started that terrible night. Ever since I found out about Tracy's betrayal, my life has been a complete mess. That night, I summoned up the courage to ask Tracy to come home to talk, hoping to get some explanation, or at least an apology. But things didn't go the way I thought they would. Tracy was remarkably calm and even a little impatient with my questioning. She admitted to her relationship with Jack, but without any sense of guilt. Our marriage had gone bad, Rivers. There was no love between us, just habit and duty. I needed something new, something exciting, a spark of passion. And Jack, he gave me that. He made me feel young and alive. I couldn't believe my ears that Tracy, my beloved wife of 15 years, had said such hurtful things. I felt a surge of anger and at the same time a deep sense of despair. I began to ask myself if I hadn't done enough, if I had ignored her feelings. But deep down, I knew it wasn't my fault. It was Tracy who betrayed our marriage and our love. The argument got heated and both Tracy and I said hurtful things. In the end, Tracy threw out the door, leaving me alone in an empty house. I felt more confused and helpless than ever before. My marriage, my family, seemed to fall apart overnight. Where do I go from here? How can I face all this? In the following days, I began to deliberately avoid friends and family. I didn't know how to explain my situation to them, and I didn't want to see their sympathetic or pitying eyes. I locked myself in my office and worked frantically, trying to paralyze myself with work and escape from the harsh reality. Every day, I worked late into the night at the office. Work seemed to be my only solace, the only thing that could make me forget my pain for a while. I buried myself in piles of documents and reports, mechanically processing the figures and charts. My colleagues began to look at me differently, but I didn't bother to explain. I knew that no one could really understand what I was feeling right now. When I got home, I felt suffocated by the empty room. Tracy's things were still scattered all over the place, but her person was gone. Sometimes I can't help but pick up her picture and stare at the face that used to haunt me. But now, the smile on that face looked so false, so blinding. I began to question our relationship over the years. Was our love built on lies and deception from the very beginning? Was our marriage just a magnificent mirage? Thinking of these, I feel a deep despair. I don't know how I can face the future, how to regain confidence in life. Sometimes I would wake up in the middle of the night, sweating profusely, with my heart in my throat. Nightmares became a regular occurrence, with Tracy's betrayal repeating itself over and over again. I felt like I was slowly falling apart, being swallowed up by the infinite darkness. I knew that if I continued like this, I would collapse sooner or later. But what do I do? How do I get out of this emotional morass? I looked out the window blankly, the city lights flashing in the night. I know that in this city, there are countless people like me struggling in the whirlpool of emotions. But at this moment, I feel unprecedented loneliness and helplessness. Another late night, I was working alone in an empty office. The light from the computer screen stung my eyes, and rows of numbers blurred into a blur in my vision. I rubbed my sore eyes and suddenly felt a wave of uncontrollable irritation and despair. I needed to catch my breath and escape the stifling reality for a while. I closed my computer, grabbed my jacket, and walked out of the office building. It was late at night, and there were hardly any pedestrians on the street. I walked aimlessly, letting my thoughts run wild in my head. Without realizing it, I arrived at a bar called Molly's. It was a bar I had never been to before, but at the moment, its dim lights and melodious music somehow attracted me. I hesitated and pushed the door. The bar smelled like a mixture of tobacco and alcohol. I found a corner seat and asked the bartender to bring me a glass of whiskey. I'm not an alcoholic, but at the moment, I desperately needed alcohol to numb myself, even if it was only to temporarily forget the pain. The bartender was a young woman with red hair and bright green eyes. She handed me my drink and smiled politely. "Sir, you don't seem to be in a good mood. If you like to talk, I'd be happy to listen. I'm Molly, the owner of this bar." I looked up at her and forced a bitter smile. "Thank you, Molly. Thank you, Molly, but I don't want to talk about me. It only makes me more miserable. I just want to drink alone and forget my troubles for a while." Molly nodded understandingly and said nothing more. She silently refilled my drink, occasionally casting a concerned glance. I drank one glass after another, feeling the alcohol begin to flow through my veins, bringing on a slight feeling of dizziness. After an unknown period of time, Molly approached me again and gently tapped me on the shoulder. "Sir, I can feel the pain in your heart. I know it's hard to talk about some things, but it's easier to talk about them. I'm always here, ready to listen to your story if you are." Her sincere words struck a chord deep in my heart. Maybe it was the alcohol or her understanding attitude. I suddenly felt an urge to talk. So, I began to tell my story in a broken voice, about Tracy's betrayal and my inner struggle. Molly listened quietly, giving me an encouraging look or comforting words from time to time. As she listened to me, I felt that the depression in my heart seemed to have been released. Although the pain was still there, the boundless despair seemed to have eased a little. "Rivers, I understand how you feel. Betrayal is indeed one of the most painful things in the world. But believe me, time heals all wounds. You need to give yourself time to come to terms with the reality of the situation and heal your wounds. You are not alone in this process. You have friends, family, and people like me who are willing to listen to you. Don't close yourself off. Don't go through this alone." Molly's words were like a warm current flowing slowly into my cold heart. Yes, I am not alone. In this world, there are so many people who care about me and support me. I can't just give up. can't just sink down. I have to pull myself together and face the challenges of life with courage. That night, I stayed at Molly's until closing time, and Molly's words were a great source of encouragement and comfort. When I left the bar, I felt a peace of mind that I had never felt before. Although the road ahead was still full of thorns, I knew that I had found the direction and strength to move forward. When I got home, I lay in bed, listening to the rain outside the window. Molly's words echoed in my head, and I felt a new sense of hope rise up inside me. Yes, I can't fall down like this. I have to get back on my feet and find the meaning of life. No matter how hard the road ahead is, I have to be strong and keep going until the dawn comes. That night, I slept very soundly, free of the nightmares that had haunted me. I knew that this was just the beginning of a new life, and that there were countless difficulties waiting for me. But I was ready because I knew that I was not alone. Somewhere in this world, there is always a lamp that lights the way for me. Since that night at Molly's, I've been frequenting the bar, and whenever I'm done with work or on the weekends, I'll come here and order a whiskey and savor the bitterness of life. Whenever work is over, or on weekends, I will come here, order a glass of whiskey, and quietly savor the bitterness of life. And Molly will always be not far away, watching me with her understanding eyes and coming over to chat with me from time to time. Gradually, Molly's bar became a harbor for my soul, a place where I could escape from reality and leave my worries behind for a while. Here, I can remove all the disguises and defenses and be my true self. Molly is like a dear friend. She always listens to my story patiently and gives me encouragement and comfort. It was on one of these days that I met Rocky. I came into the bar as usual and found an extra customer at my usual table. It was a tired-looking woman with short dark hair and bright eyes. For some reason, she gave me a sense of déjà vu, as if we had met somewhere before. I sat down and nodded politely to her. She gave me a tired smile and continued to slowly sip the red wine in front of her. We sat in silence, each lost in our own thoughts. After a while, Molly came over and greeted us cordially. "Rivers, I'd like to introduce you to Rocky, one of our regulars, and Rocky, this is Rivers. He's been coming into the bar a lot lately. Why don't you two have a chat? I think you'll have something in common." We shook hands politely and started chatting. At first, we just talked about some unrelated topics, such as the weather, news, work, etc. But gradually, maybe it was the alcohol, maybe it was the bitterness in each other's eyes, we began to open up. Gradually, perhaps due to the effect of alcohol or the bitterness in each other's eyes, we began to open up and talk about our lives. As it turns out, Rocky is a math professor who works at a university in the city. What surprised me was that her experience was somewhat similar to mine. She had just gotten out of a painful marriage in which her husband had cheated on her with a young female student. "I felt a deep sense of powerlessness and despair," Rocky says bitterly. "We'd been together for 10 years, and I thought our relationship was unbreakable. But reality slapped me in the face. He betrayed me, betrayed our love. And I didn't even know it. I was still immersed in false happiness." I nodded my head in understanding, feeling the pain I was feeling. I began to tell my story about Tracy's infidelity and my inner struggle, and Rocky listened quietly, giving me a comforting look from time to time. "Rivers, I know exactly how you feel. Betrayal is one of the cruelest things in the world. It destroys our trust and shatters our dreams. But we can't stop there. We have to learn to let go and start over." Rocky's words flowed into my heart like a warm current. Yes, life is like that. When we fall down, we have to learn to get up. When we get hurt, we have to learn to heal. Only by moving forward can we see the light of hope. That night, Rocky and I stayed up late talking. We shared our stories and talked about the pain in our hearts. In the process, I felt a sense of relief that I had never felt before. It turned out that there were people in the world who could really understand how I felt, and that I was not alone. After that, Rocky and I started to meet at the bar more often. We shared our lives and our feelings. Gradually, we developed a deep friendship. We were both emotionally traumatized, but we were working hard to heal and regain hope in our lives. Every time I talk to Rocky, I feel a sense of peace and warmth that I have never felt before. She is like a bright light that illuminates my way forward. With her support and encouragement, I feel that life is no longer so gray and that there are infinite possibilities ahead. I know that I am slowly getting out of the darkness and slowly regaining my confidence in life. Although the road ahead is still full of thorns, but I am ready because I know that I am not alone. In a corner of the world, there is always someone who understands me, supports me, and accompanies me through the darkness to meet the dawn. And that person, Rocky, was my friend, my confidant, my hope for a new beginning. Since I became friends with Rocky, my life began to change in a subtle way. Every week, we met at Molly's bar to talk about our lives, and Rocky was always so patient, so understanding, and every word she said was like a warm current that soothed my heartache. Gradually, with Rocky's encouragement, I began to re-examine my life and values. I began to realize that in the past, I had focused too much on my work and career and neglected other aspects of life. I had invested all my time and energy in running the company, but I had forgotten to enjoy life and follow my heart's true desires. Rivers, Rocky said to me one day, there's more to life than work. We have families, friends, hobbies, and dreams. We should experience the diversity of life and discover our true needs. Only then can we find true happiness and fulfillment. Rocky's words were like a hammer blow that woke up my sleeping heart. Yes, life should be more than just work. There are so many beautiful things to experience and enjoy. I made up my mind to change, to recognize and manage my life again. So, with Rocky by my side, I started to try all kinds of new activities. We attended art exhibitions together to appreciate the creations of the masters. We went to concerts together to let the beautiful melodies wash our hearts. We went hiking together to feel the rhythm of life in the embrace of nature. Every new experience is like a stream of fresh water that slowly washes away my inner haze. Under the cultivation of art, I began to rediscover the beauty of life. Under the infection of music, I began to realize the deep peace of my heart. Under the shock of nature, I began to understand the true meaning of life. Gradually, I feel that I slowly began to come out of the emotional shadow, began to embrace the sunshine of life. Tracy's betrayal still makes me pain, but that kind of heartbreaking pain has begun to weaken, replaced by a kind of light sadness and regret. I began to understand that life always goes on. No matter how many setbacks and injuries, we have to learn to put down, learn to move forward. During this process, Rocky has been by my side, giving me endless support and encouragement. She is like a bright light that illuminates my path and gives me hope and light. Sometimes, I can't help but think that if I hadn't met Rocky, I would still be in a quagmire of pain, unable to extricate myself. It was Rocky who made me realize the meaning of life again. It is Rocky who has given me the courage to move forward. With her company, I feel that my life has never been so full and joyful, and that the future is full of infinite possibilities. In addition to participating in various activities, Rocky and I often discuss life and philosophy together. We would talk about our outlook on life and values, and share our thoughts and feelings with each other. In the process, I began to re-examine my life and think about what is really important. Rivers, life is short. We should pursue our true inner desires instead of being bound by the expectations of the outside world, Rocky once said. We should live our true selves instead of wearing masks and playing the roles that others expect of us. Only then can we find true happiness and freedom. Rocky's words are like a ray of sunshine that shines into my heart. Yes, we should live out our true selves. In the past, I have been playing the role expected by others, a successful entrepreneur, a perfect husband. But I forgot to listen to my inner voice and follow my true dreams. Inspired by Rocky, I began to rethink my life goals and values. I began to understand that true happiness does not lie in external success and recognition, but in inner peace and fulfillment. I began to learn to let go of the baggage of the past and to embrace the possibilities of the future. Every time I talk to Rocky, I feel a sense of awareness and realization that I have never felt before. She was like a mirror that reflected my inner self. With her help, I slowly began to reconstruct my life and find my own meaning and value. I know that this is just the beginning of a new life, and that there are countless challenges and difficulties ahead of me. But I am ready because I know I am not alone. With Rocky's company and the support of my family and friends, I am confident that I will be able to get out of the darkness and embrace the sunshine again. With Rocky's companionship and support, my life is getting back on track. I began to rediscover the beauty of life, learning to let go of the past and embrace the future. But there was one question that always lingered in my mind, and that was my marriage to Tracy. Although Tracy's betrayal hurt me a lot, after all, we had lived together for 15 years, and this marriage carried too many memories and emotions. I have asked myself countless times, our marriage can still be saved? Can we go back to the old days? But every time I thought about Tracy and Jack, her cheating and infidelity, my heart was like a knife twisting in pain. I began to realize that our marriage had already existed in name only, and the trust and affection between us had been completely destroyed. Continuing to maintain such a marriage without love and respect is a kind of torture and harm to both of us. After a long period of deliberation, I decided to end the marriage. It was not an easy decision, and I had hesitated and hesitated countless times, fearing that a divorce would bring harm to our daughter Lydia. But I knew that it would be even more detrimental to Lydia's development if she lived in a family full of conflict and indifference. I discussed the decision with Rocky. To my surprise, Rocky was very supportive of my choice. Rivers, I understand your frustration and concern, but I believe that a marriage without love will only make both parties suffer. Instead of trying to keep it together, we should end it bravely and give each other a new start. Rocky's words gave me great encouragement and support. Yes, we all deserve a new beginning, a new life filled with love and respect. So, I started to prepare for my divorce. I found a divorce attorney and began to deal with all the red tape. With the help of my attorney, Tracy and I negotiated the division of property and custody of our daughter, Lydia. The process was not easy, and there were many conflicts and arguments between Tracy and I. Tracy was angry and resentful that I had filed for divorce, and she felt that I was shirking my responsibilities and abandoning the family. Our fights often turned into heated arguments and even physical altercations. But whenever I felt desperate and tired, Rocky was always there to give me comfort and encouragement. She would patiently listen to me, give me advice, and help me get through the difficult times. Sometimes, I even think that without Rocky, I might not have been able to make it to the end and might have given up in the middle. During this process, I also reflected on my own responsibilities and faults in the marriage. I realized that although Tracy's betrayal was the direct cause of the breakdown of the marriage, the problems between us had already existed. Each of us was busy with our work and careers, and we gradually distanced ourselves from each other, ignoring each other's feelings and needs. Our communication became less and less, conflicts became more and more, and we finally came to the end of our marriage. This made me feel a deep sense of remorse and guilt. I realized that marriage requires joint efforts and management, mutual understanding and tolerance. We are both responsible for the failure of this marriage. This realization has given me a new understanding of divorce. I no longer see it as an escape or a failure, but a brave choice, a chance to give each other a new life. I am determined to learn from this failed marriage and to cherish and be more attentive in my future relationships. After months of hard work, my divorce from Tracy was finally finalized. When the judge announced that we were officially divorced, I felt a sense of relief that I had never felt before. At this moment, I could finally let go of the pain of the past and start a new life. After our divorce, Rocky and I began to plan our future in earnest. We discussed each other's goals and dreams in life and made detailed plans and steps. We planned to move in together and start a real life together. We also planned to travel together, to explore the beautiful world and to follow our true desires. Whenever I think of the future and the days I will spend with Rocky, my heart is filled with boundless anticipation and joy. I know that this is just the beginning of a new life, and there are still countless surprises and challenges waiting for us. But I am ready, because I know that with Rocky's company and the support of my family and friends, I will be able to face everything bravely and create a better tomorrow for us. Let the pain of the past go with the wind. The happiness of the future beckons us. After our divorce was finalized, Rocky and I started living together for real. We rented a cozy apartment together and started to furnish and decorate our new home. We shopped at furniture stores together, picking out our favorite sofas, coffee tables, and beds. We went to decorating markets together, looking for unique pieces and paintings. Every time we buy new items for our new home, we feel a sincere joy and satisfaction. These objects carry our hopes and expectations for our future life and witness the new chapter of our love. Gradually, under our joint efforts, this new home began to have vitality and cozy, everywhere overflowing with our love and dreams. In addition to setting up our new home, Rocky and I have been planning our careers together. As a corporate executive and a university professor, we both have our own career pursuits and goals. We discuss each other's work, share our ideas and suggestions, and support and encourage each other. Sometimes we face professional challenges and confusion. Whenever this happens, we always listen to each other patiently and offer understanding and comfort. We analyze the problems together and look for solutions. With each other's support and companionship, even the biggest difficulties are not so difficult to overcome. The relationship between Rocky and I has deepened through our daily life together. We share our lives together and discuss the meaning and philosophy of life. We would read books together, sharing each other's favorite passages and feelings. We would watch movies together, discussing the deep meaning behind the plot. In this process, our souls have realized true integration and established a deep spiritual bond. Of course, our new lives will not be easy, and we will face some pressures and challenges from the outside world. We all have to deal with our respective families and face the skepticism and lack of understanding from our friends and family. Especially me, as a divorced father, I have to take on more responsibilities and duties. My daughter Lydia is very confused and sad about my divorce from Tracy, and I need to spend more time with her and calm her down. I need to make up for the years of neglect due to my busy schedule and rebuild trust and understanding between father and daughter. It wasn't easy, and Lydia was initially upset and repulsed by my relationship with Rocky. She was worried that Rocky would take her place in my heart and that I would forget her as a daughter. Rocky and I were very patient and honest with her in the face of her insecurities and questions. We told Lydia that no matter what happens, she will always be my daughter and my love for her will never change. And Rocky also said that she would not try to take Lydia's place, but that she would like to be Lydia's friend and provide her with support and love. With Rocky and I working together, my relationship with Lydia slowly began to improve. I started to be more involved in Lydia's life, talking to her and listening to her worries. We went out together and tried new activities and experiences. Gradually, Lydia began to open up and accept Rocky's presence. I can see that we are slowly becoming a new family, a family full of love and warmth. Looking back on this journey, I feel incredibly grateful and thankful. It is Rocky's presence that has helped me find the meaning and direction of my life. It is Rocky's companionship that gives me the courage to face the pain of the past and embrace a new future. Now, we are living together, facing the trials of life together, and pursuing our true dreams and desires together. I know that life will never be easy, and we will encounter countless difficulties and setbacks. But I am no longer afraid, because I know that no matter what happens, we will hold hands, face, and overcome together. Our love is our greatest strength and support. Dear friends, if you are experiencing emotional difficulties, is for life's frustration and agonizing, I want to say to you, do not give up hope, do not stop pursuing. Life, there is always a sunny day, there are always ups and downs. The key is, we must learn to grow in adversity, in the suffering harvest. Don't be afraid of change, don't be afraid of new beginnings. Every end is a new beginning. Every loss is a new possibility. As long as we bravely take the first step, as long as we firmly believe in ourselves, life will certainly show its best side. Maybe, on the way forward, we will fall, will be hurt. But as long as we harbor hope, as long as we support each other, there is no difficulty that cannot be overcome. There is no pain that cannot be smoothed out. Life is a wonderful journey. Let's walk hand in hand. Let's explore, discover, and grow together. Let us use love and courage to write our own wonderful chapter. I'm Rivers, and this is my story. A story of falling and rebirth, of despair and hope. I hope that my experience will inspire and encourage you if you are going through a similar predicament. Remember, no matter what happens, don't give up hope. The darkness will pass and the dawn will come. As long as we are strong, as long as we love with faith, life will be better. Thank you for taking the time to listen to today's story. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you have a story to share about your own or someone else's experience, please feel free to contact me. Take care.